All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Winona State Football Players Association podcast. Today, I'm extremely happy to be joined by Eddie Hodges from Three River Performance. Three Rivers, I guess.
Yeah.
Those plural performance. And thank you for being with us, Eddie.
Yeah, great to be here. Excited to have it.
So Eddie, why don't you give us your background and touch on kind of your journey to Winona State and what your role is with the football program?
Yeah, so I'll just kind of give the whole entire background. When I was younger, I started with in the weight room. My dad started the strength conditioning program up in Caledonia, Minnesota in 1994 out of his garage. So we had a 5-by-5 foot room with a squat, bench, deadlift in it. So I grew up around it. So I was 3 years old at the time. And then from there, he took on, parents just kept asking him, say, hey, can you train my kid? Can you train my kid? Can you train my kid? And all of a sudden it turned into the whole football team. Graduated, they basically went from his garage to a bigger facility behind the high school. They donated and built that. And then for me, I was a 4-sport athlete, football, weightlifting, basketball, and track and field. So being in that realm of things and everything, he grew up a bodybuilder, grew up doing the BSF system. I know a lot of guys probably know what that is. A lot of high schools still do it around this area. And then I got to a certain age and he's just like, well, there's got to be something better out there. So I started into Olympic lifting. Doing snatch and clean and jerk. So started competing in that, went to nationals a few times. And then from there, through high school, won a couple of state championships in football, made it to, for track and field, made it to state championships. And then once I graduated, he's like, you're pretty good at the coaching aspect of things. Take your level 1 and you're going to be my assistant now. So went from there, graduated high school, got my level 1 right away and started coaching in the weight room right away, right next to him. During that time, I was trying to be a cop as well. So I went to Western Tech, got my associate's degree in police science, and then still coaching on the side. So I was coaching athletes in nationals and weightlifting, coaching the football team, helping them out, learning the speed development side of things. That's kind of what I specialize in now, more speed and then Olympic lifting. And then from there, I was going to transfer up to Winona State to get my 4-year degree in criminal justice and go in FBI. But one of my mentors said, hey, you really get this coaching thing. You should coach in college and do this thing. So transferred over to exercise science 2 days before classes started. And then I just kind of hung up on the weight room up there behind Jeff Renardi, Matt Sager, Lauren Lyman at that time, Eric Waggle. So I was like kind of their intern in 2013 and 2014. I guess I did so well. I put a resume in with Coach Renardi about being a GA there. So I became a GA and I helped out with soccer, gymnastics, and volleyball, and then I helped out with football whenever I could. And then through Renardi's connection, I became an intern and then assistant coach with the 49ers in 2016, their training camp. And then from there, I came back, finished my degree here. After that, went down to Arizona, worked at this private facility called Performance Enhancement Professionals, where we just trained NFL guys. So I was down there until about 2019, came back to the area, opened up Three Rivers. Main reason opened up here is because it's just so untapped in this area, La Crosse, Winona, kind of the Rochester circle. So I just thought there's a huge potential for athletes here because there's 100,000 people in this area within a 10-mile radius. And you're not seeing a lot of kids go to even Division II or Division I, or even to the next level, even after that in the pro sector. And I just thought we just had so much talent that was untapped. So I want to kind of optimize that as much as I could. Opened up Three Rivers. 2 weeks later, COVID happened. I had to shut down for about 2 or 3 weeks. So then from there, I went back down to Arizona, trained some NFL guys for a few weeks, and then came back. And then we've been wide open ever since. And then the whole coaches changes when Sawyer retired. Bergie got hired. And then Bergie kind of just reached out to me and says, hey, would this be something you'd be interested in helping us with up here? I'm like, yeah, let's start that connection and kind of talk to Bergie and kind of lined it up. And June of last year is kind of when I started up the summer training up there with the team and changed up a few things and helped out as much as I could. And then traveled with the team last season. So obviously they had such a great season, with new coaching staff coming in, a lot of culture change, a lot of buy-in. And I think that a lot of the athletes were kind of hungry for that at that time. And then had a good spring training session with them. Did like a lot of different types of training models of eccentric, isometric, and all that. And then did more speed work, like I was telling before. And then now we're rolling into the summer, and I think we have over 90 guys that are cleared this summer that are staying around. So, I mean, that's the most I've ever seen it here, but I think Coach Sawyer and Coach Renardi probably can give you the more of the direct numbers of the years past, but it's the most I've ever seen being around here. But so that's kind of my background and kind of how I got integrated with the team. And my role as a team is obviously the strength conditioning coach. I call it sports performance coach because we look at more aspect than just, lifting in the weight room and trying to run gassers. I'm trying to optimize their running form so they can be efficient when they run on the field. Their movement is more fluid, so they're not so stiff and they're rigid in movements. And at the end of the day, too, just to be really strong and really explosive. So that's kind of my background, kind of a little bit of role with with the team that I have. Bergie's given me a lot of leeway and kind of give me the ropes and kind of run with it. And I've been very grateful for that. Very grateful for Bergie and Coach Frichte and the whole staff up there to kind of just let us do our thing. So
cool. So you're actually on campus too, correct?
Yeah. So my facility is down in La Crosse, Wisconsin. That's where I'm at right now. But I drive up every day to Winona to be on campus with the guys. So right now in the summer, we train in the morning at 6 a.m. to 7. And then we train in the afternoon from 4 until 5:15. And then we have field work, or I call it speed work or conditioning, from 5:30 to 6:30, Monday through Thursday during the summer. And then during spring ball, I think we got it lined up right now, or not spring ball, camp. Once camp starts, we'll be there 2 days a week on campus, training them, all the weight room and everything. And once in season starts, we'll be up there 3 days a week. So 2 days with the travel, and then the non-travel guys will get an extra day on that Friday. So depending upon when we leave and when we do everything. So we travel up, we're on campus for everything, kind of take the athletes through all the guided stuff, have them mobility prescriptions, have them kind of reaching out to Stacy, talk to them what we need to do for rehab, integrating that more within the lifting as well too. And then more fluid within the program as well. Like we have a program that they follow, that the skills follow, the bigs follow, the big skill follow. But at the end of the day, that's just a guide. And then if a guy comes in, like they have, some knee pain or something like that, and I don't really change up the workout dramatically, but I change out enough where they're going to get some sort of benefit from. So we're not scrapping the whole, like if their knee comes in, okay, just do an upper body warm up or workout. We're still going to do a lower body, but depending upon what their limitations are and what they need to work on, that's when I integrated some different type of therapy stuff or type of rehab stuff within that.
So besides the obvious, performance related stuff that a performance coach like you brings to the table, what else do you think is important or critical about the strength conditioning program in a football program, specifically at Winona State?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that we're kind of seeing that I've seen over the years too is a lot of kids that come in are, unfortunately, there's not experience in the weight room as well. So getting that relationship built with them right away of like, okay, getting that trust built in, I think is huge. Once we have that trust built in, we can kind of integrate them and teach them within the weight room and the culture within that. Obviously, that's what they need to like learn to be strong and to be fast. But then again, too, is like you can squat 500 pounds, but you can be a really crappy football player, right? So trying to be able to integrate that, and like that's the biggest thing my dad's always said. Doesn't matter how strong or if you're a super strong guy in the weight room or a super fast guy on like doing the 40-yard dash, if you can't translate that to on the field and to get better at your position or at your skill level, then what's the point of even doing this stuff? So translate that mentally of like when they're squatting or when they're throwing a med ball or something, visualizing that effort that they have in the weight room or that they have on the field and try to translate that. So if you're going to hit a guy, if a defensive lineman is front squatting, as you're standing up, imagine driving through your offensive lineman, right? So I think the whole mental side of things is a really big key proponent of that. And I think that's missed in a lot of college sector side of things as well. As we talk a lot about mental health, the mental side is a big part of it, because if you don't integrate the mental toughness and the mental fortitude in the weight room and try to help translate that on the field, then we're not doing anything. So integrating that both of like, okay, we're visualizing why we're in the weight room, but then after we're done in the weight room, we go into a separate room, turn all the lights off and start doing breathing exercises to help calm their sympathetic nervous system down to parasympathetic and just have them be in the moment and just relax for a second. Because at the end of the day, a lot of college guys and like a lot of humans in general, we're cranked up here all day long. And my big example I use is there's a lion and a gazelle. So your nervous system has two aspects to it. So you have a sympathetic and parasympathetic, right? So the sympathetic is like fight or flight, like you're running, you're going from thing to thing. Parasympathetic is rest and digest. So a lion and gazelle, they're always in one of the states all the time. When they're sleeping, they're in parasympathetic, they're resting and digesting, right? When the lion is chasing the gazelle, they're both in parasympathetic. When lion catches the gazelle and starts eating them, they're both in parasympathetic, right? The gazelle's dead, the lion's eating. So with that human, so they're always fluctuating throughout the day. So what I have to take into account too is athletes that get up at 6 a.m., the huge spike, cortisol levels, everything, we're lifting, doing all that stuff. And then we got to calm them down for 5 minutes, drop that level, bring them back down to earth so they can incorporate that mental training, that mental fortitude that is in the weight room, apply it within their mind. So throughout the day, they can kind of crank back up. And I tell them to, whenever you can, rest, breathe, relax, and all that. So I think within Winona State football, what we're doing a little bit different is kind of integrating that mental side of things and kind of helping them out as much as I can, creating that relationship with them and trying to optimize their performance as best I can. So I hope that kind of,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So is that what you would say is kind of a differentiator in the program for you, is more of that kind of holistic mental approach to pretty much everything you do?
Yeah. So I'm old school mentality with the new school tools. So what that means by that is like, they're still gonna lift heavy and do all that stuff and get super strong in certain lifts. But at the end of the day too, is like taking that little bit of extra of the mental stuff or a little bit of extra of my rehab stuff that I've been part of or my recovery stuff and kind of integrating that when I can, because at the end of the day, those guys are there to play football. And if they're getting injured in what I'm doing, or if they're not performing well on the field because of something that I've done, I don't think that's right. So I try to make sure that at the end of the day, they're there to play football and to get better with that. But I think the biggest thing that we're doing different, and that I know a couple different programs too, is that our lifting schedule is very different. Our lifting time frame is super short and super effective and efficient as well. And then taking the mental side of things into it, and then having that recovery stuff there as well of like body, like tempering and Normatec stuff before the games, and being able to be there, work on the guys before the games and during the games and stuff like that. I think it's just a little bit different than what they've had in the past. And myself being a part of over 30 different types of state championships in high school level, this is the big aspect that we've kind of brought to the table to these high schools, to individual high schoolers as well, that it just kind of has worked over the years. And I think my dad has kind of perfected it in the weight room wise of things. And the funny thing is, he's a truck driver by trade, so he has no formal education in this. But he has over like 35 years of experience of going through this stuff and taking it and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And it's kind of interesting because I bounce a lot of ideas off him still today of like, hey, this is what we're going to do. And he'll be like, okay, that's really cool. Or, hey, have you thought of this? Or that's kind of dumb. I don't know why you guys are doing that. So it's kind of cool in that aspect of things, because he's more of the practical side of things. I take a lot of the science in and kind of apply it, but sometimes that just doesn't work because it's not ethical. So I've thrown it past him and he kind of says yes or no. But I think that's going to be a biggest differentiator for us too, as we have a lot of guys here this summer. I know a lot of Division IIs that I've kind of been talking around that don't have the amount of guys here as they do. So I think that's going to be huge as well. Yeah,
I don't think I can recall in the 25 years I've been around the program that many guys being on campus. So that's fun.
Yeah, it's fun to see. And then there's different stuff we're doing this summer as well. So a lot of kids nowadays, like the problems that they have is that they go and train and they go home and sit on their phone or do nothing. When I was a kid, I'm sure when you were a kid, you were gone by sunrise and not back until sunset, riding your bike, doing all that stuff. Kids nowadays don't do that, and we're starting to see that. So what other types of movements are we doing to help them integrate? Of some kids don't even know how to fall. Some kids fall and get a concussion. I can run, jump in the air, roll, tumble, and pop up to my feet just because we've ran down hills, fell, rolled, tucked our head, and know how to protect ourselves. So what I've done this summer is bring in a jiu-jitsu guy out of Winona. His name is Noah Hauser. He owns Flow Jiu-Jitsu. He's a world championship in jiu-jitsu. So what I do is bring him in 3 to 4 times this summer, and out, instead of running, we just do jiu-jitsu movements and rolling and tumbling and teaching kids how to fall, teaching kids how to tuck their chin and roll so they don't get a concussion. Another thing I do too is we have a partnership Three Rivers does with the National Guard. So we'll come in and bring in, like, we call them tactical days or Navy SEAL days, and just kind of go through a mental fortitude of, this stuff is super hard. Can you get through it? Performance wise and energy system wise, yeah, it's going to suck and it doesn't really apply too much to it. But at the end of the day is when things get super tough, can you work through it? In football in the fourth quarter, when it's 7-7 against Mankato and we made a bad play, how are you going to come back on that? Are you going to start yelling at each other? Or, okay, we need to refocus here and just get after it. We'll get through this. So I think we have 3 days that they come in and kind of run a intense workout, just kind of testing their mental fortitude a little bit. And it's interesting because all these summer workouts are all volunteer. So it's interesting to see who stays and see who skips. Now we can't take roll or anything like that, but internally the guys know who's there and who's not there. But yesterday we had a tactical day and a lot of guys showed up. There's a few that were missing, but I think majority of the team was there to show up and kind of test their mental fortitude and get through it. So those things this summer we're kind of doing a little bit differently in the past as well, than kind of just running them and just kind of grinding them up, just running in a way. Because my biggest thing when I was down in Arizona, the big guys, we did conditioning, but we didn't run them a lot. We played a game called Danny Ball. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So it's a medicine ball volleyball. So when I was down in Arizona, we trained with James Harrison and all those guys. So I'm sure you've seen that on his YouTube channel or his not YouTube channel, his Instagram or stuff like that, where it's a 10-pound medicine ball. It's 2 versus 2, and we play medicine ball volleyball. You get to catch and throw it over. If it touches the ground, then the other team gets the point. So it's conditioning. You're running in the sand. You have quick feet. You have to be super explosive. And the first 1 to 11 wins, and you only can score on your serve. Sometimes we'll play for 45 minutes and it'll be 1-1. So, and it's still conditioning. So we'll move around, do stuff like that. They'll come down here at Pettibone on Saturdays and we'll play some game. A lot of my Three Rivers crew goes over there as well too. And we kind of bring some UWL guys over and kind of all play. So I think that's kind of a unique thing, different that they do too, to keep kids engaged. And the other biggest aspect nowadays too is keeping their attention there. Because if you do things too often or too repetitively, they get bored and then they'll check out. So when they check out, and then that's when you lose them. So keeping things the same but different, and then integrating these different aspects of like jiu-jitsu and tactical days in there as well.
So let's change gears a little bit. So you got 90 guys on campus. You've been working with the team for a little over a year now. How do you feel like things are going, and what's your forecast for the 2023 football season?
Yeah, I think so a lot of the guys that that are staying around are getting a lot of great work in. They're working their tails off and everything like that. A lot, like as a team, we're getting a lot faster. I'm feeling pretty good going into the fall. Obviously there's still some hesitation and some stuff because as a sports performance coach, you're always second guessing yourself and always analyzing yourself. Like, did you do enough? Did you prescribe this? Did you do this? And all that stuff. But my gut feeling is that this fall is going to be better than last year. That's my initial gut feeling. Just because of everything that we've done now for a full year. We got a year into it now. The coaches have a full year into it now. They got their one season underneath their belt. And I think that we have a little bit more figured out this year. Now, what level are we going to go to? I'm not really sure. I mean, I've been with high school teams and with other teams, and we won a state championship. When you look back and you're like, how do we even do it with these guys? You know what I mean? Like, not saying Winona State guys are lower, but like, it's just, you don't expect it sometimes. I have expectations of like, this is probably where we're going to go or how things are going to go. And then sometimes it goes way beyond that and we're in the national championship, or we had an okay season. So, but I think performance wise, the guys are a step ahead than where they were last year at this time. And now I have that relationship built with a lot of guys, kind of figured out what's going on with everything, because I came in June, I had about 6 weeks and then the season started. So now having a full year into it and getting guys stronger and getting their asymmetries kind of balanced out, I'm feeling pretty good this year.
Good. So final question, and I didn't prep you for any of these, and so you may not have a great answer, but I think you will. What do you think the Football Players Association means not only to the program but to the individual athletes, and what do you see as the value in our membership and our folks that are helping out financially in the FPA?
Yeah, I think I hear nothing but great things how the FPA helps out with everything. And like I asked things of like, how'd you guys do this, or who's doing that? Well, the FPA did it. FPA. I just think that the Players Association, I think, is a critical aspect to it. So my understanding goes back to booster clubs in high schools. I mean, without them, you can't function. And I think the same thing with the FPA is that if it wasn't for you guys, I don't know how the university is going to do a lot of things. Like, for instance, Carl Frichte in Caledonia, the schooling gives them enough money to buy about 2 helmets. What's he going to do with 2 helmets per year when 6 or 7 of them expired? If it wasn't for the booster club kicking in and buying a bunch of them, buying the pants, buying all this stuff, helping kids out with meals, helping them out with scholarships, like what you guys do, I think it's going to be a completely different role of what kind of kid we get in here and what kind of atmosphere and what kind of culture we have in here. So I think the FPA, part of Winona State, is absolutely critical, and I don't think we can function without it.
Well, I appreciate that, Eddie, and we're so happy to have you be part of the program. And I've heard nothing but great things from the kids about the strength program and conditioning program and performance program, as you put it. And it's exciting to watch the momentum that's building. And I too think that we're in for a really great 2023 campaign, and I'm excited to see the product on the field that you work so hard with. Yeah. So, hey, thank you so much for joining. Thanks for all you do. If you want more information on the Winona State Football Players Association, check us out online, winonastatefootball.org. I appreciate it, Eddie. Thanks for being with us.
No problem.
Everybody, you have a great rest of your day.